And finally, I guess there's only one thing left to say.
Well, goodbye. 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 Goodbye.
Goodbye, darling.
Goodbye, Freddie.
Goodbye.
Where I'm going, you can't follow. What I've got to do, you can't be any part of.
So long, farewell, I'll be there saying good night.
Good night, Mr. Bond.
My mother thanks you. My father thanks you. My sister thanks you. And I assure you, I thank you.
I hate goodbyes.
Who's coming with me besides Flipper?
So long, partner. Bye. 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 Oh, bust it.
Better go home and get some sleep.
Good night, Mr. Kane.
Good night, Mr. Geddes.
Don't worry about me, Geddes. Don't worry about me!
In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
I love you.
I know.
I think I'll miss you most of all.
That's all, folks.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Wake up, Mr. West, Mr. West, Mr. Fresh, Mr. By himself, he's so impressed. I mean, damn, did you even see the test? You got D's, motherfucker D's, Rosie Perez, and yes, barely passed any and every class, looking at every ad, cheated on every test. I guess this is my dissertation, homie, this is basic. Welcome to graduation. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. On this day we become legendary. Everything we dreamed of. I'm like the fly Malcolm X by any genes necessary. Detroit red cleaned up. From the streets to the league, from an eighth to a key. But you graduate when you make it up out of the streets. From the moments of pain, look how far we done came. Haters saying you changed, now you doing your thing. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, and look at the valedictorian. Scared of the future while I hop in the DeLorean. Scared to face the world, complacent career student. Some people graduate, but be still stupid. They tell you read this, eat this. Don't look around, just peep this. Preach this, teach us, Jesus. Okay, look up now, they done stole your streetness. After all of that, you receive this. Good morning.
Hustlers, that's if you're still living, get on down.
Every time that we hit them, good morning.
Hustlers, that's if you're still living, get on down.
Every time that we hit them, good morning.
Hustlers, that's if you're still living, get on down.
Every time that we hit them, good morning.
Hustlers, that's if you're still living, get on down. Get on down. Get on down. Get on down. Get on down.
Welcome back, everyone, to Answer Library Radio. And that was Good Morning by Connor.
Hey,
West.
Connor.
Whoa.
Connor, this is our last show.
I was going to build up to that.
I'm sorry. You want to do it? I'll stay quiet. You do it again. Go ahead. Just do it.
No. It's all right. But that was Good Morning by Kanye West off his 2007 album Graduation, which, while I'm graduating, figured we'd play that classic album right there. Mr. Cadorette, are you feeling all right now? You doing okay?
I'm a little bit I may not make it through the show. You may have to carry me. It's just, it's just kind of weird, isn't it? I don't even know who's going to listen to this one. They're probably going to be like, yeah, wasn't it done on Monday or?
I don't know. Well, I can't be there to support you, but I'll email you JPEGs of tissues or something. I don't know. Since I can't be there to be, support, but this is it.
Connor, you're always close to me. And for our listeners that might actually look at their phones or something, then we have a special treat. We have the two DJs of your dreams on our title page.
The greatest photo of all time.
Yeah, that's it. That's the Mount Rushmore that is Lancer Library Radio. Yeah, this is kind of strange. So let's do something concrete. What do we got for numbers?
We got some stats for everybody real quick. So this is some information about, the show we've been doing for the past couple of months now, and saying a couple of months is pretty crazy. Time flies. We've been doing this show 3 days a week. We've done this for 12 weeks now. This is our 35th show. Yep. One show was canceled because the internet was messed up.
Yeah, my internet was not happy. That was the Wednesday during April break.
Yes, that's right.
I remember that. So that was a lot of fun. I think Connor might have heard me use adult words.
That's right. Words the FCC would not approve of.
No.
And neither would Water Public Schools. But hey, that's okay.
That's
for guests, we've had 71 guests, which is crazy to think about. 5 of them have been on the show twice. All 5 schools have been represented, and we've had 5 former members of Waterford High School on here.
Yeah, so that's we've had the superintendent, we've had principals of 3 different schools, so that was great. I'm trying to think of anything else that we need to. Oh, and then songs. I broke it down. I'm a librarian. I like numbers. I feel good with numbers and lists. So we played 81 songs in April, 94 songs in May, and 54 songs in June, for a grand total of
229 songs.
And I think there was only there might have been 2 repeats. I think someone requested 3 Little Birds, and then somebody else had requested it. And I think somebody requested You've Got a Friend twice. So, but other than that, so that's not bad. 229 songs. It feels pretty good.
Yeah.
And let's see. I don't know. What else do we? Oh, who are our guests today, Connor?
I think we're both considered guests, and we're both considered hosts. This is it. It'd just be us 2. We're gonna answer some questions from some of our our diehard listeners who we will be thanking later on the show. Looking forward to it.
Okay, so before we get to our first guest, because I'm a nice guy and because Connor is brilliant, I allowed him to have the first song and the last song, even though I gave up the last song spot for this because I'm an old man. This is all I could think of. Connor's choice is much better, but just wait until Thursday.
All the girls and boys, men, all I know. Well, we got no class, and we got no principles, and we got no innocence. We can't even think of a word to rhyme. School's out, oh, summer. School's out, forever. My school will belong to
All right. Who's our first guest?
It's you, Mr. Cadorette. You're the first guest today. And we have received some questions from the great Mr. Cheney, who we'll be thanking again later on the show for being a big supporter of Lancer Library Radio and being the greatest history teacher of all time. Tied, of course, with Mr. Higgins, Mr. Gamble, and Mr. Criscolo, of course.
Wow.
What's that?
I'm tied. That's fine. I'm sure you'll be good with that. I would be happy. That's a nice group. Anyway,
I mean,
keep on.
You know, look, everybody's unique. Everyone's great in their own ways. Mr. Cheney, he's the man. And we're going to move on to those questions real quick. Now, I mean, look, I don't want to say, look, I have much respect for the entire history department at Waterford High School, as well as Clark Lane. I don't want to rank anybody. This isn't albums. This isn't movies. They're all great. You know. I mean, you get to work with them.
I'm good with that.
Now, one question. Oh, actually, I received 3 questions from Mr. Cheney. One of them for you, Mr. Cadorette, is what is on your Mount Rushmore of music albums?
Of albums?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, geez.
I picked 4.
Yeah.
And I will accept one tie.
Let's see. Well, I think you'd have to have Bringing It All Back Home. Jeez. It's hard to choose between that and Highway 61. Maybe that's my tie. I'm going to leave that there. So I'm going to put Dylan there. And then let's see. Well, like I talked about a couple of shows ago, The Clash's first album. And I only found out later on that there was a different version that was released in England, but I don't care. I got the American version, was perfectly happy with it. So I'm going to have to go with The Clash. Let's see. Jeez. This has never been an album, but because they were all released as singles. They were collected later on. Well, I think Who's Next? The Who's Next would have to be. Oh, it's either that or Live at Leeds, because
Live at Leeds is great.
Oh, it's just so awesome. Yeah, so I'm going to say I'm going to go with Who's Next, but the Who live are like a different animal almost. They're just crazy. And so what is that? That's 3.
Yep.
So I got one more. And wow, that's rough. So I would have to either go for like the original Elvis Sun recordings, which are just amazing. They're just awesome. But that was never really an album. You know, he stuck me with that. Thanks.
You're picking Elvis? I'm gonna.
No. Look, dude, you have to listen to the Sun Record stuff.
Elvis is a poser.
Elvis is a poser?
No, look, all of his biggest songs are covers.
Yeah, fair enough. So was Louis Armstrong's. He didn't write any of his own stuff. He's pretty good. I'm good with that.
But, look, Sister Rosetta Tharpe invented rock and roll.
Look, you can talk about Rocket 88 if you want to. We can talk all about that stuff. All I'm saying is listen to that Sun Record stuff. Listen to That's All Right Mama. Listen to There's Good Rockin' Tonight. Listen to You're Right. She's Left, I'm Gone. You listen to I Don't Care If the Sun Don't Shines, Milk Cow Boogie. They are just awesome. They're just on a whole different plane. Now, after he went into the Army, actually, when he signed the contract for RCA, he's going downhill.
I don't know. For me, I grew up with family members who love his Live in Honolulu record.
And they're wrong. And that's fine.
I know. And whenever I think of that, era Elvis, I just think about how awful Mohegan Sun smells. I don't know why.
I think that's perfectly. Look,
it connects.
There is a 2-volume biography of Elvis that's phenomenal. It's by a guy named Peter Goralnik. I read the first one, and it was just brilliant because he just talks about how Elvis is this. You know, Elvis had great respect for blues and country and gospel and rhythm and blues and all of this stuff, and brought that all together and made it something completely different. I love the first volume. The second volume takes place after the Army. I think I read about 2 chapters and I was like, this is already the most depressing book I've ever read. This is just, and it's well written. The guy's a really good writer, but it was rough. So, okay. So look, that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with Elvis, Dylan, Who's Next, and The First Clash. And I'm trying to think of.
Is there an honorable mention? I will accept an honorable mention.
Well, you know, the honorable mentions would be all those one-hit garage bands. You know, the Music Explosion, the Kingsmen that I played the other day, Louie, all of these people doing these one-off things that sound really great, and then the rest of the album, like I don't even know if they made a complete album, but all those little things. So yeah, geez. I should have been more prepared.
It's all right.
Anyway.
It's all right.
All right. What else you got for me?
Well, first off, with your responses, I just couldn't tell you grew up in the 70s. I couldn't tell.
Yeah. There's a theory. I had a roommate, one of my first roommates when I moved out of my parents' house. He had a theory that our favorite music is from middle school.
I honestly, yeah, I've heard the same thing, and I would 100% agree.
And then he said, like a couple of years, I was telling somebody this, and a couple of years ago, there was an article in the New York Times that said, the music that sticks with us the most is the stuff we hear. And he was like, oh, he was right. So yeah, the weird thing is though, when I was in middle school, like you, came from a family with a lot of music. So I had older brothers. My sister liked, pop type of stuff. My parents liked the old standards. My dad liked his own stuff. So like you, my middle school was a little bit different than, somebody that is only listening to the radio or something, I guess. Anyway, keep on going.
Okay. The other question that was from the great Mr. Cheney was, Who is your favorite president and why?
Ooh, that's rough. I think it would have to be one of the Roosevelts. I think it would have to be one of the Roosevelts. Yeah, I mean, the way my parents had me when they were quite a bit older. Well, not really older, but fair enough older. And so I grew up in this, and they were the youngest in their family. So I was like the youngest at any family gathering. I was the youngest by 5 years. And people used to talk about FDR like he was a god. They just talked about like, man, how could we get through that? So all these people grew up, during the Depression. I mean, my parents were the youngest, and my dad was born in 26. So FDR, but there's a lot about Teddy that I like a lot. Just, I think that, there's questionable things that any president does, but every time I read about Teddy, he always seems like a person of integrity. Like he could be making decisions you don't like, but he'll tell you exactly why and explain to you why you don't like it, but that's why it's going to benefit other people. And he took a bullet and then kept on giving a speech.
Yeah, there you go.
You can't beat that.
A true leader.
Oh yeah. Both of them were great leaders. My mother, I think I told you at another show, my mom had polio growing up. And so she thought of FDR. And in fact, she was supposed to go down to the hot springs. I think it was in Georgia or something, but she didn't want to leave her mom. She's supposed to go down to hot springs for some water cure, but she didn't want to leave her mom. But she thought FDR was a big role model for her.
Okay.
As somebody that also had polio. So there you go.
It's a great reason right there. And the last question we have from Mr. Cheney is probably his best question he's written me so far is, have you ever co-hosted a fake radio program with a cooler student than Connor Elci?
Well, give me a second. I was not prepared for this. Okay, I got to think of all the other. No, No. I'm thinking. No, I have not. No, he's. You know what? The answer to that is no.
There you go.
And in fact, Connor, you were the only one I thought about.
That means a lot to me.
If you had said no, I'm not certain. I had no plan B. I was like, no, Connor's going to do this. This will be perfect because I don't know why, but it'll be great. So you were the only plan. Wow. I thought if you weren't going to do it, I thought, well, I'll just do it by myself. But people get sick of my voice pretty quickly. So.
And the Grinch's heart grew 3 sizes that day. Wow.
Well, it's true.
True. No, I think that was the right answer to that question. But Mr. Cheney, thank you for the questions. I believe you might have some from Mr. Cadorette as well. And thank you for being an awesome history teacher my sophomore year. What song have you picked for us, Mr. Cadorette?
Well, the song I chose is The Parting Glass by the Pogues. And the reason I brought this up is, and I'm an old softie. I've got some songs coming up. We each got 3, but I got 2 of mine are, pull at the heartstrings. So this is a song by the Pogues, one of my favorite bands. And the reason they're one of my favorite bands is I had a roommate that had their 3rd album. I'd never heard them before. And he put it on, and I immediately felt a connection to it. And the thing is, I told you, I always think of this as a radio show, and the guy in the newspaper and other people talk about it as a podcast. And part of the reason I talk about it as a radio show is because my dad loved the radio. So, Connor, one of the things I used to do when I was in middle school is my parents didn't like driving into Worcester too much. That was the big city next to us. because once I started driving in Worcester, I understood why, because it's just a pain. It's an awful city to drive around. But the library was sort of on the edge, and they had a good parking lot, which nothing else in Worcester does. So my father used to take me there, and I discovered at the Worcester Public Library that they had albums. You could take out albums. In fact, I remember taking out Cosmo's Factory by Creedence. That was great. But I also used to take out tons and tons of radio shows, like The Shadow and The Inner Sanctum. Have you ever heard any of those?
Yes, and the only reason why I have is because I've heard them being sampled in either TV shows or other music.
Yeah. And I just thought they just sounded really cool because they were like, somebody's going to read me a spooky story or something. And it was one of the few times, and this is sort of it's a sweet memory for me. Our record player was upstairs in my three brothers and I shared a room. There was 4 of us in a room, and the record player was up there. So my dad and I would go up there to listen to these things, and he would tell me about hearing these shows originally, him and his brother waiting for The Shadow to come on at whatever time. Just like you'd wait for a TV show to come on. So I love that stuff. And my dad just loved the radio. Sunday mornings, he would listen to the WCUW out of Worcester, Clark University radio station, and he'd listen to this Irish show called 4 Green Fields by Sean Hastings, who was some Irish guy that lived in Worcester and had a huge record collection. And he would play all this Irish rebel music. It's great stuff. But I sort of forgot about it. And then I heard the Pogues, and I was like, this is like punk rock meets my dad's Irish show. It was just like, I understand this immediately. And in fact, I was going to do a whole Irish show of Irish rebel songs, and I decided to spare people that. But check out the Clancy Brothers or the Wolf Tones when you get a moment. So here, all right, I'll stop talking now. This is going out to my dad and going out to our listening audience at Lancer Library Radio.
All the money I had, I spent it in good company, and all the harm I've ever done, alas, it was to none but me. And all I've done for want of wit, some memory now I can't recall. So fell to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you all. Oh, all the comrades there I had, they're sorry for my going away. And all the sweethearts there I had, they wished me one more day to stay. But since it falls into my lot that I should rise and you should not, I gently rise and softly call, good night and joy be with you all. If I had money enough to spend and leisure time to sit a while, there is a fair maid in this town that sorely has my heart beguiled. Her rosy cheeks and ruby lips, I own that she has my heart enthralled. Then fell to me the parting glass, good night and joy be with you all.
All right. Connor, we get a bunch of questions that are sort of general.
Okay.
Do you want to get to some of them?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Let's see. Well, first of all, what I'll ask you this in a second. Miss Pizzello asked, do you ever play? Oh, no, that's a Connor specific question. All right. Dr. Rose, twice visitor to our quarantine bunker studio, asked these two questions, and these are pretty general for both of us. First one was, you can tell she's an occupational therapist. What did you learn through this experience? What did you learn, Connor? That Mr. Cadorette likes old music?
Well, if that wasn't obvious enough already, but
you already knew that.
Oh, I already knew it. But I think for me, I think I learned, I think practice with speech, it definitely improved as well. And this for me was kind of like my career test. I'm majoring in communications next year, and this is something I would like to do involving media of sorts. So I think for me, this was kind of that confirmation of, yeah, this is a path I would like to go down.
Oh, that's nice. I'm trying to think of, I learned, one of the things I think I learned how to be I think I got better in my interviews.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was re-listening to the very first show, and the interviews are really short, and I didn't, I know people only have so much time, but it's nice when our guests get relaxed enough so that we end up just having a conversation. And I always enjoyed that. I could always tell when the guests stopped talking like they were a guest and started talking like we were having a conversation. And so I learned a little bit about that. She also asked, what was the most meaningful interview for you?
Ooh, I think, the one that stood out the most was, I think, when we had the panel of people when it came to discussing a lot of what's going on in the world right now. That was a few weeks ago. Probably that one was the most. Yeah, I would say that episode right there.
Yeah, that's one of those things where I don't think either of us had really thought we were going to go. Neither of us had a plan other than we're going to do a show 3 times a week. And then, something came up and we tried to react to it in an honest way. And, that I think it took us both by surprise.
Yeah. Powerful. It's great.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that, but I also, I don't know. Mr. Bassett, the Malukas family, when they started, you weren't on for that when they started doing ukulele trio. Just those small little things. Mr. Seltzer sending me him playing the trombone. Mr. Collins' wife, Catherine Aaron, in the last show. All these, tiny little things that, and all these emails from people that I never expected. I don't know who half these people are. I've never met Mary Childs. I've never met Dr. Rose. So I don't know. There's that you're right. That big show that left an impression, but then there's all these like tiny little unexpected. Do you remember the first time that I sent you an email with a bunch of people saying nice things?
I do vaguely, and I do remember. Yeah,
it was like 8 weeks ago. So yeah, you might not. But it was, it was like all of a sudden I got, people are emailing, and it was just, so it was really gratifying. let's see. So what are your next? No, I'm going to get to this in your interview. I'll get to this in your interview.
All right.
We do have some people, and we'll probably get this list wrong. So we're very sorry, but we've tried to think of all the people that have emailed us and sent us nice things. So the first person we want to thank is Mr. Tom Giard, not only a former guest and a great one with that great recipe for brisket. Were you on that show?
I was, yeah, because I think David Chagru was interviewed on that one.
Oh, that's right. I mean, that was an example where he just seemed like he suddenly, like he was talking professionally, and then he just sort of, became, a next door neighbor.
Yeah.
I just thought that was so nice. But he also, I sent him the pilot, and he could have said, let's not do that. And instead he said, yeah, that sounds great. Go ahead. So, I guess he's the executive producer.
Yeah, that's true. But
We'll put him in the credits.
The backer.
That's it. Barbara Comstock King has been a constant supporter. Ms. Colleen Leinberg has written us a number of times. Dr. Rose, sixth grader Miss Rachel Mason, who we had on the show. She still hasn't sent me anything. Rachel, I'm waiting. She makes handmade cards, Connor. She's going to send me one. But she, right away, like the second or third week, I started getting emails, and she was requesting stuff. That was so cool. Ms. Deb Pizzello, who's no longer at Waterford High, but she'll eventually hear this. Ms. Mary Childs. Mr. Ian Cheney. That's it. Mr. Jim Sachs has bothered us a number of times. It's been very nice. Liz Smith, security at the high school. She's emailed us a number of times. It's always nice to hear. So, all right. I get one more song, and then after this, we get to talk to our second guest, Connor Elci. All right.
We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Keep smiling through, just like you always do, till the blue skies drive the dark clouds far away. And will you please say hello to the folks that I know? Tell them that I won't be long, and they'll be happy to know that as you saw me go, I was singing this song. We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Yeah, we'll meet again. I don't know where, and I don't know when, but I do know that we'll meet again some sunny day. So honey, keep on smiling through, just like you always do, till the blue skies drive the dark clouds far away. And would you please say hello to all the folks that I know, and tell them I won't be long, They'll be happy to know that as you saw me go, I was singing this song. We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day.
All right, we have in our studios today, the Quarantine Bunker Studio, a young man I found on the streets a few years ago. He was raised by wolves. He cleaned up nicely and slowly taught him the trade of disc jockeying, and someday he's going to be out on his own. Connor, are you there?
I am here, Mr. Cadorette.
Does that sound familiar to you? That you were raised by wolves, right? You were. Never mind.
Yeah, the mean streets of Waterford, honestly.
It's like Sesame Street. Right.
Yeah.
All right. So let's start off with the inimitable Mr. Cheney's questions. You might have actually have seen these. All right. So number one.
I have not seen these yet, actually.
Oh, even better. But you won't be too surprised. Limited creativity. He's good at lists. Okay, number one, what is on your Mount Rushmore of music albums? Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I now understand that pain you were once in. I did say on the last episode that Mad Villainy is on there, and I will stand by that statement.
All right.
Mad Villainy is a collab by MF Doom and producer Madlib. It came out in 2004. It's weird. It's a great rap record though. After that, this is where it gets tricky. Do you give me expectation, like some limitations like that I gave you, or it's just strictly 4 albums?
Look, you screw up, son, and you're fired. All right? I got nothing more to do with you. I don't care. Right. Go ahead. Live it up, man.
I'm gonna do one honorable mention and one tie as well. Mad Villainies on that list. Frank Ocean's Blonde is also on that list. If you are a music fan, your summer listening homework assignment is to listen to Frank Ocean's Blonde. I'm going to put Death Grips The Money Store on that list. Do not listen to that album. That album is bizarre. It is abrasive. It's a personal favorite of mine. I would hate it if someone – Miss Pizzello, I'm not putting you down when I say this, Miss Comstock King, but I feel like if you were to put on Death Grips, you would think of me as a different person. So that's 3, and I'm going to put a tie for 4, and that tie is going to be between – actually, no, I'm just going to do 4. Okay. 4 is going to be Talking Heads, Remain in Light. That's their 1988 record. It's a phenomenal record. And my honorable mention is going to be Radiohead's OK Computer.
And think about all – how about this? What shows he's got other questions. Question number 2 is just Mr. Cheney getting stroppy. What's with Mr. Cadorette's Led Zeppelin problem?
What's your problem with Led Zeppelin? I don't.
Look. I want you, Connor. I want you to think about this.
Stop. You can't have an issue with Led.
I got. Also,
What's wrong with you? Like what?
I know. Look. What's wrong with me is that. Look. I want you to think about the early '60s for a second. All right. So there were people that were booing Bob Dylan because he plugged in an electric guitar, right? Because he had sold out.
Because it was innovative. It was innovative.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for us. But that's in hindsight. At the time, you were either pure folky or you were bubblegum, right? Like rock and roll was for morons.
You were beatnik or pop.
Yeah, I mean, and so, it didn't, the idea of bringing them together. Now I listen to that folk music and I listen to the early rock and roll, and I don't have a problem with that. But at the time, the people in the middle of that, they had a problem with that. So I want you to think about, so this is, mid 70s, late 70s. And it just seemed like, as I was firmly in the camp of The Who. and I just could not. And my brother loved Zeppelin, but for some reason, I don't know what the block is. But this is my, see, Mr. Cheney, why are you having Connor ask me this? Never mind.
Well,
Anyway.
but like by saying Led Zeppelin's bad is like saying like grass is red or something. Like you just can't say that.
Look, I didn't say Led Zeppelin is bad.
What's your favorite Led Zeppelin album?
I have no idea. I don't even know the name of them.
So
I've never owned a Led Zeppelin album.
Well, okay. So what you're telling me is have you actually tried listening to an album of theirs before?
Dude, I drove in cars throughout the 70s and 80s. It would be impossible not to hear the entire catalog in a 24-hour period. I don't know. Everybody,
blown away.
I don't know. There was just made my back teeth grind. I don't know why. I just had this visceral. You know what? One song I did like was "Fool in the Rain."
That is a good song.
I liked "Fool in the Rain," and but if I heard "Stairway to Heaven" one more freaking time, it would have been the silicon chip inside my head would have snapped. So no, I just and there was so many people that so many Neanderthals I went to school with that could barely pronounce anything other than Led Zepp. Like that was it, and it was like that was the beginning and end of music for them, and I had nothing but contempt. So
now Mr. Cadorette,
I have to tell you, I have heard some Led Zeppelin come up on the radio on occasion, and I don't turn it off. I appreciate their musicianship. They're excellent musicians. I can't deny that. And I even played Mr. Cheney some Led Zeppelin a couple of weeks ago. So,
well, you see, the Neanderthal comment that still exists today. There are still a group of kids, and I feel like this will happen throughout time.
Sure.
They wear Dark Side of the Moon shirts, and they think Queen, Pink Floyd, and Led Zeppelin are the greatest bands of all time, and anything that's not like stadium rock from the 70s is garbage. Like there are still people to this kids my own age.
Oh yeah,
who think that opinion? Who think if it's not Zeppelin,
and I hate to burst this bubble, but don't even ask me about Pink Floyd.
Dark Side of the Moon. Dark Side of the Moon is an overrated album.
I can't stand Pink Floyd.
It's okay, but if I were gonna put on a Pink Floyd album, I would put on Animals. That's just me.
You go right ahead. That's another band that I don't know. They just didn't. They just made my teeth grind. So that was just it. Look, I mean, a difference of opinion is what makes a horse race interesting, right? So
yep.
There you go. All right, last question from Mr. Cheney, and this is a tough one. You're gonna have to, stretch. Who was your favorite sophomore year history teacher?
All right, I think I have an answer to that, and that answer is Mr. Cheney.
Oh,
easily,
100%. Perfect. Very nicely done.
Thank you.
So, so Connor, had you thought, I remember a couple of, I don't know, it was last year or earlier this year, Mr. Valley was looking for more guys to join the drama club. And I remember hearing you say something like, I'll do backstage stuff, but I'm not going to get on stage.
Yeah.
And is this like your first time performing?
I mean, does does music count or no?
Yeah, but I mean, you're on the air, you're goofing around, I know that you had thought about the production end of things, but had you thought about this end of things? I know you thought about being in the control booth, but not necessarily on the air or something. So what are you thinking about next year for school? I know you're going into communications. Has the show shifted anything for you or solidified something?
I don't know. I think the show has definitely given me more confidence when it comes to speaking, when it comes to kind of that performance aspect you're talking about. I'm going to be honest with you. When it comes to plays, I have never been a huge fan. But however, I have not been exposed to enough of them, so I'm not gonna say they're all bad, they're all weird or whatever. I just have not had that exposure. The only show on Broadway I've been to is David Byrne's concert series. So I'm not really sure if that counts as a Broadway show. But,
exactly.
But I would definitely. I like the production side of things. I like being on the creative side. However, this has given me more of an interest of being in the spotlight, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. No. That's good. So 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line. So what is the job that you are looking for?
It's a good question. I would like to be some sort of on the production and business side of the entertainment industry. I said that a while ago, and I still stand with that. I would like to get involved, whether it be in booking, whether it be in
or a showrunner on TV.
Yeah, maybe. I think maybe being like an agent of some sorts, or being some sort of like on a creative aspect of like a business side of something, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I think definitely that position. But if I could work in media, whether it be journalism or something like this, and it's constant pay, it's not freelance work, I would definitely consider that.
Okay. All right.
I just want to be Anthony Bourdain.
You want to be Anthony Bourdain?
I mean, this might sound awful, but not how he ended up, but I would like to have his career.
Yeah. So, I mean, well, he took his cooking skills and he spun it into, he's an engaging person that took like I said, he took his cooking and his knowledge of food and his ability to engage with people, and he spun it into a whole different thing. Yeah. Oh, I can see that.
And maybe with music instead of food.
Well, that would be a great show. That would be
travel. Yeah.
That would be a great travel show. Traveling around, listening to, small bands, local stuff, weird hybrids. There's got to be. I almost played them a couple of weeks ago, but I didn't have time. We went to go see a gypsy jazz concert festival up in, God knows, Kittery, Maine. And because there was this great jazz guitarist there, Frank Vignola, phenomenal guitarist. And this other band that they got was playing gypsy jazz. They were from Cairo.
Whoa.
Yeah. They spoke some fairly decent English. I mean, better than my Arabic. All their music was in Arabic. They were phenomenal, and they were just lovely. They were great. We bought the album. They're just terrific.
It's funny you say gypsy jazz, because I've read a lot of articles online, and people, to catch people up to speed real quick, people don't call rock music like what you and I would consider rock music. Journalists and critics and musicians nowadays call it guitar-based music.
I guess.
And they say the future of guitar-based music is in sub-Saharan Africa.
Some
of the best guitarists in the world right now are from Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria.
Well, there's that big music
Malaysia,
festival that I can't remember the name of the music festival that Robert Plant goes to, and he lends his support to that. I really like. In fact, I've seen Robert Plant in concert.
All right. You can stop talking right there. I should leave the Zoom call right now.
I didn't see Zeppelin, but I saw Robert Plant on his solo tour. I don't know why. A friend of mine had tickets. I was like, yeah, sure, whatever, I'll go.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself. That's just
believe me, that's the least of what I should be ashamed about. All right. What about the summer? What are you doing over the summer?
Over the summer, I wish I had something more exciting to say, but besides working in the gardens at Harkness and the occasional night ranger position, which is not that fun, but hey, that's all right. That job pretty much entails I have to close up the entire park and kick everybody out. So that's a weird weird job to have. However, the garden aspect I like working in. It's just a beautiful location, and I mean, I have no complaints.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It sounds sweet. Um, but no road trips or anything like that with Kinsella?
Nothing, nothing with Kinsella. I don't know what his. I know he thought. I thought he was going away this summer somewhere, but I could be wrong. But I know we have family friends of ours, um, who have a vacation house somewhere. Oh, it's in Nantucket. That's right. They're very nice people, and they usually invite us out there. I might go out there for a weekend or so, but besides that, I mean, I skateboard a lot, and I usually do a lot of skate trips with friends of mine. We go out to different skate parks and throughout Connecticut or Rhode Island or maybe Massachusetts. So I might have to do some of those, some hiking trips, but I don't know.
That's cool. You could hit every skate park in Connecticut.
There's actually a lot more than you'd think.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure there are. There's probably hundreds more than I even have thought about.
Yeah, I mean, in southeastern Connecticut alone, there's probably, all right, actually, I want to say New London County. There's probably 7 or 8.
Wow.
So.
And best one? What do you think? What's the one that is? How do you even rate a skate park? What's your criteria?
So for me, I think I mean I like there are different styles of skateboarding. You can do the giant ramps, you can do street stuff, but for me, because I'm weird, I like watching the old 70s Dogtown guys who think they're surfing when they're not, and they're doing weird hand plants and handstands with their boards. So I like doing weird stuff like that. So for me, I just think whatever's the newest and biggest. That sounds awful to say, but it's true. The best skate park I've ever been to is in Burlington, Vermont. However, the best one within an hour's distance of me is probably it's called Old Mountain Field. It's out in South Kingston, Rhode Island, and it's just ginormous.
Wow.
And it's also some nice ones. What's funny is the nicest ones are also usually next to the state colleges in this area. The one in Willimantic is right behind Eastern. It has a huge skate park. The one in Newington, which is right next to Central, brand new. I have not been to that one yet, but my college roommate, who also skates, is from Newington. I'll be meeting him there soon sometime. And the one next to Southern, Edgewood, is also massive. I've not been there yet, but obviously I'll be spending some time there.
Wow. All right. That sounds cool. You forgot to ask me this. So what are 2 things you're grateful for during this being the quarantine that you are?
That's right. That's right. Not wrong. Not wrong. What are 2 things I'm grateful? Well, I'm grateful that every other day I get to hear your voice. That brings tears of joy. Another thing is,
what a sad life you lead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think another thing is that I'm working. Obviously, a lot of people are not working right now and are kind of getting hit economically, and I'm thankful that my family has not been hit by that. Both my mom's a teacher, so she's doing Zoom stuff, and my dad still has a constant job, so that's great. And for me, I'm working at the Harkness gig, so I'm glad about that.
Yeah, those are all good things. And so what about have you done takeout food?
I have, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I just started. Oh, in fact, look, I'm going to share this with the radio audience. We probably have 5 people left by now. But I'm trying to limit myself to locally owned places.
Okay.
And places, and my girlfriend, she's a phenomenal cook. So most of the time I'm like, why would I want to go there? She can cook it better. But there's a place in Norwich, in the Yantic section, called Laziz's.
Okay.
And it's Lebanese food.
Ooh.
Oh, it's phenomenal. Baba ganoush, hummus, all homemade. Like the baba ganoush, you start eating it, and you can hear vampires running away because
like garlic, man.
Oh my God, it's just. And then they do chicken shawarma wraps. They're very clean. The guy Bassam, who's look, you'll be in there for 30 seconds and Bassam will suddenly be your best friend.
Oh, okay.
Apparently he used to have a terrible time doing deliveries because he would just stop and chat with everybody. Just everybody. He's a great guy. But Laziz's, it's like the size of my living room. And I get a small living room. And it's awesome. And it's got baklavas and all sorts of pastries. But seriously, I would highly recommend that. So, all right. And so what are you looking forward to? Is this something you're craving? Something you're...
I am craving live music.
Oh.
I think every year, I mean, I actually, right here next to me, I have the list of every concert and music festival I've been to. I have been to, in total, 31 live musical events. And I've been to 3 music festivals.
Wow.
So for me, this year, I've actually already been to 2 concerts in a music festival. And I was supposed to go to another one. However, that weekend, this thing called the coronavirus happened and kind of just blew up everywhere. So that got canceled. They never sent me a refund link.
I had a few plans. Supposed to go to Spain, supposed to go to Portugal.
Ooh.
Supposed to go to Kenya.
What?
I'm supposed to spend July in Kenya.
Nairobi.
Yeah.
It's a capital.
Nairobi and Mombasa and I can't remember. I sort of blanked it out of my head. I was doing all this research, and then when I realized that it wasn't going to happen, I was just like, I'm going to stop thinking about that.
Yeah.
But I was supposed to go. I volunteer with a group called the American Friends of Kenya, and they collect books, and then they pack up a container, put it on a ship, send it over to Kenya, and then they distribute them to a whole bunch of different libraries. They needed help organizing the libraries, and then there was sort of a change in the school curriculum, and they wanted me to do workshops with librarians that were, new librarians. So and then there was going to be plenty of time when I was just going on safari or whatever. And so I was like, that's going to be great. And it's not.
Yep.
So I hear you. So instead, I found out that there's something called the Vermont 251 Club.
Okay. What's that?
Which is you visit all 251 municipalities in Vermont. And some of them are like uncharted townships. There's one that's just an island. It's Vermont, so it's all kind of weird. I emailed a couple of Vermont librarians I know, and they were like, yeah, don't come up here.
Vermont librarians? What do you guys, like a secret society or something?
We are Novo Ordem Biblioteca. That's it. The New World Librarians. No, I know. It's like I want to find out what's going on in the street. I emailed some librarians. I was like, hey, I'm a librarian. Should I come up there? And they're like, they did a bunch of research for me. So it's like, I know who to email. And so instead I found out that there's something called based on this, it's called the Connecticut 169 Club. So I have been preparing myself for the Connecticut 169 Club. We're going to do all 169 towns, cities, municipalities, all 169 municipalities. Take a couple of pictures. In fact, I even borrowed a camera from Mr. Fomenko. I'm thinking about making a movie.
Really?
I never made a movie before, so I borrowed the camera and I downloaded some free movie. Have you ever done anything like that?
So you're basically saying you're pirating stuff right now?
I have not pirated a thing. I pirated nothing. No, it was free software. I can't remember the name of it because I just downloaded it the other day. Open Shot is what it's called. So look, I never did a fake radio show either. I figured, how much can I screw it up?
Yeah, I get it.
So I'm trying to, I was thinking it would be kind of cool to set up the camera in like a village green with a chair far enough away that I could hear them, but we were more than 6 feet away, and interview people. I don't know.
There you go.
I don't know. Anyway.
If you ever need a guest, let me know.
Well, I get some representation in Waterford, so maybe I'll come down to Harkness.
All right. Do it.
So what is your song? Why'd you choose it? What do we got here?
Yeah, so actually I'm going to add an album to tie as my honorable mention for my Mount Rushmore of albums, and that is Joy Division's Unknown Pleasures. I'm actually looking at it right now. It's hanging right above the laptop I'm using on vinyl. That shout out Dylan Kinsella. He got me the 40th anniversary of that record for Christmas. It's red vinyl. It's awesome. And yeah, I am actually the first song off that album is called Disorder, and that's what I'm playing for you guys right now.
All right, here we go. Joy Division, Disorder for Connor Jukebox Elci.
Sensations make me feel the pleasures of an old man. These sensations bear the answers, leave them for another day. I've got the spirit, lose the feeling, take the shelf away. And now it's getting out of hand. On the 10th floor down the back stairs into no man's land. Lights are flashing, cars are crashing, getting frequent now. I've got the spirit, lose the feeling, let it out somehow.
All right, that was Joy Division, Disorder. Okay, Connor.
Yes.
After the Gold Rush, I got to fit that in there someplace. Neil
Okay.
Young. And then I was thinking the Sex Pistols, Nevermind the Bollocks. That's, I don't. And then I was thinking, okay. Thanks, Cheney. I'll curse him. All right. I'm just started. Oh, and then music from Big Pink.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, the band, right?
Oh, yeah. Jeez. Exactly. All right. Well, this is it. We want to thank our guests. We want to thank our listeners. We want to thank all the people that emailed us with different suggestions and stuff. I want to thank you, Connor, for putting up with me for 12 weeks.
Oh, please. It was nothing. Thank you for this opportunity.
It was a pleasure. I don't know. This is awesome. And so I guess this is it.
This is it. Have a great summer, everybody. And Waterford High School, it has been a pleasure.
Yeah. All right. Here we go.
I'm not sure anymore, who is knocking at my door. All the faces that I know, jam at them so sunny and
I don't wanna say goodbye to you, so I'll just say goodnight to you. My people, no goodbye to you. I'm just gonna say goodnight.
Right now, I can see it so vivid, like it was just yesterday, like I could relive it. Me and my grandparents on a field trip, and I'm the little kid trying to touch the exhibits, but it'll fade before I get a hold of that. Man, I wish I could stop time like a photograph. Every joke that they told, I know to laugh. Man, I wouldn't let a moment pass. What do it mean when you dream that you're falling? What do it mean when you dream that you're balling? What do it mean when you never dream at all, then, or you don't really know, cause you can't recall them? It's sort of fly, you get a chance to say hi to people you never get a chance to say bye to. Maybe you could pull them up out of your dreams into real life if you try to. So close, but so far, and so far, no cigar. We can't dwell on the past, all we got is today, so I'ma live like it's no tomorrow, no goodbye.
To you, so I'll just say goodnight to you. My people, no goodbyes to you. I'm just gonna say goodnight.
To you, if I part, my art will live through you. Dream beautiful and unusual. Wake up like every day new to you. Stay true to you, a hood musical. My art will live through you. Dream beautiful and unusual. Wake up like every day new to you. Stay true to you.
I'm gonna say goodbye to you, so I'll just say goodnight to you. My people, no goodbyes to you. I'm just gonna say goodnight.
I'm not sure anymore, who is knocking at my door. All the faces that I know, jam at them so sunny and true. I'm not sure anymore, who is knocking at my door. All the faces that I know, jam at them so sunny and true. I'm not sure anymore, who is knocking at my door. All the faces that I know, jam at them so sunny and true. I'm not sure anymore, who is knocking at my door. All the faces that I know, jam at them so sunny and true.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.